Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. So first of all, a couple of things. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to the Q&A, you need to know that I don't read these questions beforehand. You're getting my raw, unfiltered opinion. If I think that a question is something that would take a longer answer, I'll make a whole video around it, which you will see quite often on this channel. Second of all, you want to get the questions in as soon as possible. I typically film these on Wednesday, sometimes earlier. Today is a Tuesday morning, and I'm filming it today because this week is manic. Get the questions in ASAP, ideally by a Monday. Now, if I miss your questions, I'm very sorry. Just ask them down below, and I'll get back to them the following week. One other thing, which is I want to personally thank every single person that's watched any video on this channel. It's hard work. I'm telling you right now, it's hard work putting this channel together. It's hard work constantly filming videos in and around everything else that I do. And the thing that makes it possible and the thing that drives me forward is that you guys like it and appreciate it, and it's valuable to you. So as long as that continues, I will carry on doing them. But that being said, I'm going to get straight into it. There's a bunch of questions. So let's get into this week's Q&A. So the first question is from Kevin's Wiz, who says, "Hello, Craig. Hope it's all good with you. On the Netrix, I found the egg bag routine, and in it, you said more egg bag stuff would be coming with a close-up routine. Is it there? I'm not just seeing it, or is it? Am I just not seeing it, or is it still in the works? Thanks for the content on Magic TV and the Netrix. You're the best." Absolutely, it's coming. To be honest, I'll be completely honest with you. I forgot about it until you just said that. But we've got another upload going up on the Netrix this week. It's not going to be on that upload because that's already filmed, but it will. I'll make sure it goes on the next one. Okay, so it will be coming soon. I promise you. So yes, we will be getting that up on the Netrix sooner rather than later, and I really appreciate it. The egg bag is a fantastic routine to do in a close-up environment. A lot of people think of it as a stage trick. It can be done in close-up really well, and yeah, on that video, I will show you exactly how. Okay, so the next question is Divishan Magician, who says, "Do you do any coin matrices using an exploding coin set? If so, which is the best brand?" Well, you're talking about, you see, this is the problem. This is what really pisses me off sometimes. When you talk about exploding coin set, which is the best set, for years, there was only one set, which was Dean Dill's Explosion. That routine, the explosion routine, is Dean Dill's routine. It's Dean Dill's explosion routine. And the problem is you get people like N2G bringing out versions of it and teaching it badly, and everyone, and not even crediting Dean Dill, and you get other people doing the same, and all of a sudden you get people like you who don't even know the history of this, asking questions like, which is the best set to get, without even referencing Dean Dill into the conversation. And I'm not annoyed with you, Divishan. It's not your fault. It just pisses me off that one of the greatest coin magicians of all time, who unfortunately is no longer with us and was taken far too early, who created more magic with coins than most people could shake a stick at, and who was single-handedly responsible for really moving the art of coin assemblies and matrix forward with things like the mishmash assembly and so on and so forth. The guy who actually developed the coin explosion routine, nobody even thinks about his name now when it comes to that, which is just bloody wrong as far as I'm concerned. But to answer your question, I use an original Jamie Schoolcraft explosion set. I don't get to do it as often as I'd like because obviously it's not practical in a lot of situations, but I did it in a lot of competitions, and if I'm ever in a situation where I've got like a close-up pad with me and I've got the ability to be able to do it, it's a fantastic routine, but it's one of the best coin routines ever made. And if you do yourself a favor, look up Dean Dill's performance of it and you'll see how it's done right. But Jamie Schoolcraft makes the best sets for it. He is, as far as I'm aware, the only person that Dean Dill licensed to produce the explosion set. I know there's other versions by, I don't know, Luther Magic, I think, and N2G and lots of other people do versions of it without giving any credit to Dean whatsoever. But the version that I can say is the best is Jamie Schoolcraft's. Okay, so the next question we have is again from Divish Magician, who says, do you do Incarnation by Mark Oberon? Do you think it's suspicious to have your hands in your pockets at the start or not? So I did this for a while. I've seen Mark do this. For those people who don't know what it is, you have a bulldog clip, you have someone think of a card, the card appears at the tip of the bulldog clip, and then you open it up and it's their card. I remember it being very practical. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember it being really practical. And I remember it working really well, and the angles were really good. I can't give you a full review on it because it's been a long time since I've done that trick. And I don't really remember it that well. What I will tell you is Mark's stuff is very, very commercial. A lot of stuff that Mark does is designed to work in the real world for real people. Do you think it's suspicious to have your hands in your pocket at the start or not? I don't remember my hands being in the pockets from the start, but if that's the case and you don't want to put your hands in your pocket, then there's a couple of different options. There's three options. The first option is don't buy it. The second option is justify why you have your hands in your pocket. Okay, and if you don't think it's natural to put a hand in a pocket to begin, then justify it in some way. Like, for example, could you have it in the back pocket and put your one hand behind your back, or even put it in the pocket that it's meant to be and put your hand in your pocket and just say, look, I'm going to do this whole thing one-handed. I've got this bulldog clip. I'm going to hold it at the tips of the fingers, and I will only ever use one hand. And then boom, because you can operate the bulldog clip one-handed. Or the other option is, if you don't want to go down the route of justifying it, see if you can change the moments. So, and I can't remember the routine well enough, but obviously there's going to be a moment where you have to put your hand in your pocket. Could you, for example, I don't know, you have the bulldog clip in a see-through bag, for example, and you're holding the bulldog clip through the see-through bag, like a sandwich bag, and then boom, the card appears in the bulldog clip through the see-through bag. Now you take the bulldog clip out and you take the see-through bag and you put it away in your pocket, and that's when you put your hand in your pocket. Now that's just off the top of my head, but this is what I talk about all the time on the channel. I talk about how just because the tutorial tells you to do something a certain way and tells you that you've got to do this at this time, and you've got to do this at this time, and you've got to say this, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do that. Change the moment. Think about how you are as a performer, and think about how you can change that moment to make it work for you and your performing character. If you like the trick, it's a good trick, buy it. But if it doesn't suit you perfectly, don't do what a lot of magicians do, which is just shove it in the bottom drawer. Look at it, decide what you don't like about it, and fix it so it fits your personal style. That's what I do. Okay, so the next question is from Joe Greenslade 7577, who says, hi Craig, bit of a long question, hope you don't mind. No, I don't mind at all. I'm planning on going back to Blackpool next year. I went 2 years ago for the first time, and something I regret is not approaching more fellow magicians and getting to know them. I walked past a bunch of people I had heard of and I'm a fan of, people like Ryan Hayashi, Damien O'Brien, Ewan Ryland, and I didn't say anything. I didn't feel worthy, so to speak. I really want to get to know and possibly befriend more people in the magic community. Do you have any advice of the best way to approach and get to know fellow magicians? Thank you. Well, there's a few things I can say about that. First of all, and the first piece of advice I can give you is just do it. Just do it. Just go up to people. I know it sounds kind of weird, but just go up to people and just say, hey, I'm guessing your name's Joe. Hey, my name's Joe. How long have you been in magic? Or start a conversation. Believe it or not, there's going to be a lot of people at Blackpool that are in the same situation as you. They're overwhelmed. It's a scary place to go if you've got into magic and you turn up at Blackpool and there's thousands of magicians and they're all kind of walking around. It's a scary thing to do. I totally get that. And the best way to deal with it is just go up to people. What's the worst thing that can happen? Anytime I take a risk, I ask myself, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario here is to go, oh, I'm too busy to talk to you. They're not going to throw down with you there and then, right? They're just going to go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. In which case you go, oh, no problem. Have a good day. And you go and speak to somebody else. It's not an issue, right? And that goes double for all the big names in Magic, the Ryan Hayashis, the Damien O'Briens. You know, a lot of those people love Magic. The reason they got into the position they did is because they love Magic. They love performing. They love talking about Magic. If you go up to them and introduce yourself, they will probably want to chat to you. And if they don't and they're busy, that's fine. You know, just don't chat to them. Maybe if they're in the middle of something, move on. It's fine. But the best way to get the most out of a convention like Blackpool is to go up to people, build relationships, build friendships. Go to somewhere like the Ruskin, go to somewhere like the bar in the Winter Gardens, go to the House of Secrets, and just hang out with people. That's the first piece of advice I could give you. The second piece of advice is at Blackpool specifically. There's a Facebook group called the Blackpool Conventioneers, and everyone's posting in there all the time. Post in there and just say, hey, my name's Joe. I'm a magician going to Blackpool for the second time. I don't really know anybody. Anybody want to hang out? I guarantee you that there's a ton of people that are in the same situation that will private message you. I guarantee it. And then the third thing that you can do is typically myself and Lloyd Barnes have a meeting, a gathering that we have the day before Blackpool. So the day before the Blackpool Magic Convention, or a couple of days before. It's normally on a Wednesday and Blackpool starts on a Friday. I don't know if we'll do it on the Tuesday this week because Blackpool starts on the Thursday. I don't know. But we normally have a hangout at the House of Secrets. And last year we had people like Eric Tate lecturing, and we had a few people up at the front sharing magic, and it was all super fun. And it's a real party vibe. It's a great place to actually hang out. And a lot of people there are new into magic, and it's a great place to get to know each other before the madness of Blackpool properly kicks in. So, you know, go along to that meetup. I'll be talking about it on Magic TV. We'll be talking about it on the podcast. So go to that meeting and go and have a chat with people there. But honestly, the best way to get the most out of any convention, not just Blackpool, Magic Live, you know, the session, is to just throw yourself in there feet first. The session is actually really good because Andy and Josh, they organize these events into the program specifically for new people to get to know each other. So that's a great place to go. If you've never been to the session, it's worth going. It's in January. And a lot of people that go to the session will go to Blackpool, but it's a great way to meet new people. And as well, the session is more relaxed. So there's more time to sit down and chat with people and build relationships with people. So yeah, I mean, Joe, just go and do it. And if you see me at the convention or Ryland, just come over and say hi. We'd love to chat to you. Please don't walk past us because I love magic. Now, sometimes I'm busy, sometimes I'm running around, but I'd tell you if I was busy, and that's not a problem. You know, if you catch somebody when they're busy, just grab them later on. Okay, so the next question is from Punkala, who seems to have two questions. And he says, hi, Craig, I have two questions. One, what are the archetypes of magician's characters, i.e. snappy heist-like character, overly serious magician character? I don't know. That's a really good question that I don't particularly know the answer to. And that's one of those questions that I think would be really good as a separate video, like the 10, you know, most unique performing characters for magicians or something like that. I think that would be a really great video that I might actually put together at some point. But yeah, I mean, it's not the sort of question, I'll be honest with you, that I want to answer on the Q&A because I'd want to give this some thought. You've said a couple of really good ones there. I will tell you that Cockoff, why can I not remember Cockoff's real name? He's a friend of mine. Jasper Blakely, dear me, terrible memory. So Jasper Blakely, aka Cockoff, made a career for himself in magic by having lots of different characters that he portrayed. You know, Cockoff is a perfect example of a crazy character that Jasper Blakely portrayed. And then you've got, I think, his Uncle L, the kid is Pell. He's got a bunch of different characters that he uses in different scenarios. So he's somebody whose work you should look at if you want to see, you know, how character-driven performances can really work. And then obviously you've got people like, you know, Tom Crosby, who is literally taking character work to the next level. But in terms of who are, you know, the typical magician's characters, I definitely think that's a video I'll be putting together soon. Another question from Punkala, which is equally an amazing question to the previous one. I've noticed there are different styles of card handling. For example, sleek modern handling, Jason Ledane and Alex Pandrea, sloppy and casual like Sean Devine, chaotic like Danny D'Ortiz and Leonard Green, classical like Michael Amar and John Bannon. Are there any other distinct styles of card magic? I think you've kind of, I think you've covered quite a lot of them there. I would maybe add Shin Lim in and say like super visual, you know, kind of super visual style of card magic where things are just like popping and appearing and crazy stuff is happening. I think Shin Lim created that whole genre of magic, card magic as well, or if not created it, definitely popularized it. But I think Shin Lim would be in there as well. And I probably think that you should throw in there like almost like a mental card magic style performance where people are performing magic with cards, but they're pretending they're not very good with cards so that their skill doesn't outshine what they're doing with them. You know, a lot of the routines that you would see somebody like Simon Aronson do, you know, a shuffleboard and some of the more self-working routines where you kind of covered that with Sean Devine, but I think there's more of a niche, you know, if you're kind of a mentalist. And, you know, Richard Osterland, I think, used to do that, where he used to pretend that he didn't know anything about playing cards and he couldn't even shuffle them. That's probably a style as well. It's kind of really interesting. What style would you fall into? What style would anyone fall into? I think I'd probably fall into more of the classical approach to card magic, you know, like the Michael Amar, John Bannon. Michael and John were a big influence on my card magic. So yeah, that's probably the style I would fall under. But I really appreciate the question. I think that it's a great question. It's an interesting thing to think about as well. Okay, less of a question and more of a statement by Michael Steger, who says, when I watch magic, I always try to take a friend or partner with me. It helps me focus on what's important and not on method, because there are shows magicians will go and enjoy, and then there are shows for lay people. Bring someone else makes both shows more enjoyable. Yeah, I completely agree with you. A lot of the time when I go to watch a magic show, I bring my wife with me. She's not really a lay person. She knows more about magic than most magicians, even though she doesn't do it. But I do get your point 100%, and I agree with you completely. Yeah, great thoughts. Okay, so the next question is Bryce Elphia, who says, hope you're having a great week. I am. Thank you very much. 2 questions. Firstly, what tricks have you released would you say are underrated or have flown under the radar? That's a great question. Okay, so I would say Trivia flew under the radar a little bit. Trivia that I released through Alakazam, which is a collection of trivia cards. It's got 10 cards, and each card has 10 different pieces of trivia for a movie. So it's 1 card per movie, 10 movies, 10 pieces of trivia. And the whole idea is that you give the cards to somebody, they're mixed up, they go to any card, your back can be turned the entire time, they go to any card, they look at any piece of trivia, they look at any word on that line, and you tell them the word they're thinking of, and then you can predict another word and so on and so forth. It was based off love cards that I bought out many, many years ago through World Magic Shop, and it was a reimagined, re-updated version of love cards. And yeah, it's really good, but I think it went under the radar a little bit. The other one that I would say is, and although it sold really well, it wasn't my best-selling trick by any imagination. But every single time I do it in a lecture, I sell a ton of them. And that's superimposed by Penguin Magic and myself, which was my take on the collector's routine. So the whole idea is that you have 4 aces, you take them, you put them to one side. A spectator can even hold on to them. You then have 3 people pick cards. They look at the cards, they remember them, they're lost in the pack. The cards really vanish. They can look through the cards, they're not going to see their cards there at all. The cards have vanished. And when you deal through the aces, now the 3 cards are face up in between the face down aces. You then repeat the trick a second time. They hold on to the aces. You put the cards face up. You put their selected cards face up into a face down deck. And again, they vanish. They can go through the deck. They can check they're not there. And then when they look at the cards under their hand, now what's happened is the cards have the 3 cards that they've picked are now printed onto the face of the aces, like they've been superimposed onto the aces, and yeah, they're left holding those cards, and those 4 aces they can examine completely. It's very clean. Superimposed is great, and I think it went under the radar a little bit for a variety of different reasons, but I'd love to give that one another push because I love that, and every single magician who sees it immediately goes crazy over it. And you get a full gimmick deck of cards. You can use those cards to do other routines, and I don't think it's very much. I think it's like $25 or something. But yeah, those are the 2 I'd say. Trivia and superimposed are probably the 2 that went under the radar compared to others. Okay, so we got another question from Bryselphia, who says, I'd like to request a new series. You and some other magicians like Matt or Nem or Wayne and maybe the Nardis could go through your horror stories of things that have gone wrong and what you learned from them. I think it'd be an extremely popular series that many magicians can learn from and share some good stories and lessons in the comment section as well. Let me know what you think. I think it's a great idea. It's actually something that I've been meaning to do for a while. It's just going to take a little bit of time because I'm not going to be able to get all of those people together in one room. So what I would probably do is I'd probably do a very short interview with each one of them and get a horror story and then kind of do a video of all of the horror stories. I think that would probably be the best way to do it. But it's finding the time to do that. So I have had that idea. I think it's a really good idea, and I promise you I will get to it as soon as I've got some free time. Okay, so the next question is Alt245, who says, I don't know how general audiences perceive it, but the problem I see is most false cuts is that it's either impossible to follow what you're doing, I know that's the point, or they're just too confusing. From an audience's point of view, I'm always like, the fancier it looks, the more convinced I am the performer didn't really cut at all. Yeah, I know what you mean. From my point of view, the cuts that I taught on last week's Q&A are designed to look like the sort of table cuts that you would use in a game of poker or a card game. It's like tabled cuts. So they're designed to replicate what a normal cut looks like. Outside of that, I tend not to go for the Sybil cuts. I tend not to go for those really fancy cuts unless I've got a specific reason to use it. Like I use a fancy cut in my multiple selection routine to find one of the cards. I also use a butterfly cut to do the same thing. But outside of that, when I'm actually performing, when I'm actually doing shows and I need to do a false cut of a deck of cards, it's normally either the JOC false cut or the Frank Thompson false cut, because both of those cuts are really simple, both of them are really easy, and they're very, very easy for the spectator to follow. So yeah, I agree with you in many cases. I do think those tabled false cuts look great though, especially when you're sitting at a table, because obviously they're designed to replicate what a tabled cut would look like. Okay, so the next question is Daniel Young, who says, here's a kick then on the 2 perfect theory. Most magicians don't understand this theory. For your audience, can you please explain this so there's no confusion? This is a very important theory. It often means too linear. If I was genuinely perfect, that's not a thing because it was perfect. So too perfect really means badly constructed. Well, Daniel, I mean, you obviously know this theory way more than me, mate, because I don't know it. You're asking me to explain it so there's no confusion. I think I'm a little bit confused by it as well, because and maybe it's just me being stupid, that's probably the case. But from my point of view, how I've always looked at the 2 perfect theory is that if a routine is too perfect, i.e. if there's only one possible solution to the trick, then you should reconsider routining it that way, because the obvious solution is the actual solution. And the way that I was always used to explain it was, if you're going to do something where you're floating something, for example, the only solution to floating that thing is thread, which is normally the way that it's done. So you know, I'd love to, maybe we can do an interview at some point, Daniel, and you can talk about the two perfect theory, because I've never heard of anyone say that the two perfect theory means badly constructed. But like I said on last week's Q&A, I'm not a theory guy. I don't spend hours reading theory. I'll be honest with you. I spend a lot of time reading up on magic, and obviously I've read lots of theories, but I spend more time reading marketing books and that sort of thing. But yeah, obviously, when you're constructing a routine, you don't want a routine to be badly constructed. But there's so many different ways that you can construct a routine badly. There's so many different ways that you construct a routine. Like, I see a lot of people and they put a routine together and there's no justification to do a lot of the moves that they're doing. A lot of things, I saw somebody do a routine the other day, and the method required them to put a card in a wallet. But they didn't justify that at all. So they just put a card in a wallet and then took it out and didn't really say anything about it. And that for me is a major problem of how people construct routines. They don't justify it. As a coin magician, one of the things that you learn, and I'm a coin magician at heart, and one of the things that you learn as a coin guy, as a coin magician, is that you have to justify every single move. Right, I'm holding a coin here. I need to put it into this hand because I'm doing a shuttle pass. What is my reason for putting it into this hand? Now I need to reach over here and pick this up. Well, why am I reaching over here? What, you know, you have to justify everything. So when I'm creating magic, I try to justify every single moment in the routine as well. That's important to me. But yeah, I mean, maybe you can elaborate on your definition of the two perfect theory, because honestly, Daniel, I'd really like to hear it. Okay, so the next question is Comicure, who says, "Hi Craig, just wanted to give you a quick update following the Foolers competition I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I was planning on using the Rotogen envelopes, and you had suggested a trick with loose change and a quiver. You might remember, I do remember that. I was feeling pretty anxious about performing. It was the first time I'd ever performed in front of more than one person, so there were about 30 in attendance, including members of the public. Well, you'll be happy to know that I did take part. Unfortunately, I could not get hold of a quiver in time, so I went with a different trick. But not only did I take part, I actually fooled the judge. Andy Gladwin, no less." That's amazing, because Andy is very knowledgeable about magic. Congratulations, man. That is awesome. I just wanted to say a big thank you for the routine suggestion, which I still plan to use once I get a quiver, and also for giving me the confidence to go through with it. Your encouraging words really made a difference, as I was probably still only 50-50 when I sent you my last message. Your generous help to the community is much appreciated, as always. Honestly, buddy, that's not me, that's you. You're the one that went out there, and you're the one that had the balls to go and do that, and you're the one that went and smashed it. You don't have to thank anybody, you just have to, you know, realize how awesome you are. That is brilliant. So congratulations. Now you have to tell me what you used to fool Andy Gladwin. Okay, so Pankala says, "For everyone wondering about the comments being deleted, YouTube auto-deletes comments if you reference another YouTube channel or post a link. The auto-deletion does not happen immediately, but after a time delay. Especially the channel part is really difficult to get around when commenting. I learned this when I tried to show Craig my invisible Parmeses routine, and my comments kept getting deleted time after time. The only way to get around this is if Craig sets the channel in a mode that allows links in comments." Well, I will speak to Michael about that. I did not know that, and I will speak to Michael about setting our channel to allow links in comments. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that, but I think Michael will. So leave that with me. Thank you. Because a few people have said comments have been deleted, and I don't know why. And it's frustrating because we don't delete anything unless it's, you know, very mean comments. So thank you very much for letting me know. Okay, so the next question is Adrian Suter, who says, "Hi Craig, what's some good do-it-yourself gimmicks and tutorials to build them? I know you've got some interesting DIY envelopes, but there must be more." Well, when you're talking about envelopes, you need to talk about Mark Leverage. Go and check out Mark Leverage eShop. He has on there PDFs of his two books, Forever Flapping and I'm Still Flapping, which are all of his takes on creating gimmicked envelopes. He is, as far as I'm concerned, the king when it comes to gimmicked envelopes, and there's a lot of stuff that he's got on there that's well worth exploring. So yeah, you want to check out his stuff. Who else is there? You know, on the Netrix, if you're a Netrix member, on the Netrix, we've got a section by Steve O. Watson, and he talks about how to split cards and how to you know, like do card splitting and how to make gimmicks and what you should have in order to make gimmicks. So the Netrix is a good place to look at for that. We've even got a section on gimmick making. Outside of that, I mean, the best thing to do is look at Lloyd Barnes' channel. Like, Lloyd regularly posts videos on gimmick construction and how to make a gimmick that does this and how to make a gimmick that does that. I'm not really a big gimmick making fan. It's not something that I do an awful lot of. I spend a lot of time roughing cards. My fingers, I spend a lot of time using plastic dip and roughing spray. That's kind of my favorite thing to do. And when I need to make a gimmick, I normally go to somebody like Steve-O or Lloyd. But yeah, that's probably the best place to start looking. Okay, so the Magic and Seth says, where's the best place to learn utilizing billiard balls? I've never been interested in it before, but my dad just passed and he was a semi-pro player, so I think a routine to honour him would be cool. I know you put a few on the Netrix, but I had to cancel my subscription a while ago, so not sure if those would be fitting or not. Well, I have got a load on the Netrix, an absolute metric ton. I love routines with pool balls. There are a lot on there, and I put more on there all the time. I bought a DVD out ages ago called Pool Ball Miracles, which had some other as well. I mean, you're talking about actual pool balls. You're not talking about multiplying billiard balls or anything like that. My favourite routine to do, so I used to have a residency in a pool table, in a pool hall when I was a lot younger. And I would literally be walking around doing magic while people were playing pool. It was so random. But one of my favourite things to do, and this is not mine, it's been around, it's as old as the hills, is to take a deck of cards and have somebody spread them out all over the table, face down. And then have somebody take a ball, like a cue ball, and hit it as hard as they can so it lands on a card. And when it lands on a card, I'd shown up predicted that card. Now, how you predict it is up to you. You could use an index and use a paperclip switch by Sankey, for example. I used to use an invisible deck. So I would bring out 2 decks of cards. I would equivoke and give them one to hold on to. And I'd say there's a prediction in there. The other one I'd give them to shuffle and I'd have them spread it all over the table. They'd hit the ball around the table. And when it stopped, they would turn that card over, and when they did, I'd show that that card was reversed in the deck. Now, the other way you could do it is if you had a marked deck, you could leave that card on the table, the ball on top of it, look at the mark, and then you could go back to the deck. And when you go back to the deck, it would be a simple matter of just spreading through the cards, really, just spreading through the cards and showing the card that you've got reversed. And then they turn the card over on the table and it would match. So that's the thing to do. Dynamo did on one of his specials recently a version of a magic square with pool balls. So somebody hit the pool balls, and when they did, you know, they looked at the numbers and it created a magic square for a number that they thought of earlier on. That was quite good. I'm pretty sure Pete Turner has had something to do with that as well. And one of the best pool ball routines I've ever seen, I don't know if he's published it, but if you'd like to see a performance of it, it's on Magic TV, is I interviewed Patrick Redford during lockdown. And I interviewed him and from his house, and he has a pool table there. And he showed his on Magic TV as part of that interview, the trick that he did on his Zoom shows as the finale to his Zoom show. And it uses a pool ball. It uses his pool table and a bunch of pool balls. It was really good, really, really good, and fooled the crap out of me. So if you want to see a really cool trick, now I don't know if he's published it or not. I'm not too sure. The best place to check with that is Patrick Redford, and ask him if he's published it. But it was a very strong routine. So that gives you a few ideas to start with. And yeah, I really think that you putting together some routines with pool balls would work really well. I think that's a great way to honour your dad. So yeah, good job. Okay, so the next question is Spooky Kid, who says, since I just do this as a hobby, my biggest challenge is getting people to understand what I'm doing is for fun, not a trick on them or a challenge or a measure of their intelligence, but a fun illusion meant to be enjoyed. Even though I present it as just for fun, sometimes people will have something of the opposite reaction I want. If you know, there's always going to be people out there that are trying to figure out how a trick's done. It's just going to happen. You're going to have people out there that are going to try and figure out how tricks are done. All right. So when that happens, just, don't pay them any lip service. Just turn around to them and just say, look, don't get agitated. Look, I'm just doing this for fun. I just thought I'd show you something that's pretty cool. I'm not trying to fool you. I'm not trying to say I'm better than you or anything like that. I'm just trying to show you a really cool magic trick. Or maybe you teach them a trick. You teach them something really simple, like a key card principle. And when they start getting annoyed, you go, hey, let me show you a trick. This is super fun to learn. Can I show you a trick and teach it you? Teach them a trick, and maybe you'll make them into an advocate, or a real kind of champion of you, so that when you're in the same room as them, they go, oh yeah, you got to see this. Show him this trick. Show him this trick. But don't get too beat up about it. It's frustrating, but it's going to happen. Worst case scenario, just stop performing. Just say, look, that's not why I do magic. I'm sorry if I've irritated you, and just move on. But just it's going to happen. Just don't let it get to you. Okay, so the next question is from Ian Walton, who says, hi, Craig, thanks so much for doing a House and Wise on Cupcake 2.0. This is why, hands down, you're the best out there. Nothing too much trouble for you. You bring so much energy and excitement to a project. Magic companies should have you do all their product releases. Dear Lord. No, I'm busy enough as it is. I live in Kent, so hopefully I can schedule a trip to Alakazam when you're down. That would be amazing. I do normally announce when I'm at Alakazam, so that would be phenomenal. And thank you. Yes, we're filming the cupcake thing this week, perhaps even today. Okay, so the next question is from Bernhard, who says, hello, I'm in Mexico and I want to start having jams with other magicians, but I don't know what you do in a jam. The magic community is just starting in my city. Well, jump on some online jams. Go on a Discord server. There's loads of jams happening on Discord servers all the time. The Illusionist one, I believe, is quite big. The Murphys one, I believe, is quite big. But, go on a Discord server and hang out. Basically, it just means showing each other tricks. Jams work in different ways. Sometimes you're just showing each other your favorite tricks. Other times you'll show somebody a trick and show them how it works, and they'll give you advice on how to perform it a bit better or how to make it a bit better. But ultimately, it's about sharing a love for something that you both enjoy doing. That's basically what a jam is all about. But start doing it online so you get an idea for it, and then maybe you can build up a community in Mexico over time, and you can get people involved, and you can start doing it kind of in person as well. Okay, so the next question is, YouTube keeps deleting my comment on this comment. I have the questions. I'm very sorry about that, Andy. It's happening at the moment for some reason. I don't know why. What have you got to say? Thanks for answering my questions. You're more than welcome. I understand for the challenge piece that we were going to watch a well-deserved Jessammentary, and that you've got some of your own ideas to fill in that challenge. Magic TV will keep having a star quality for a long time. Thank you very much. Right, let's have a look at the questions. Right, here we go. Last Saturday, I went to the show Hans Klok and Friends. I am a Dutch guy, 30 years old, and I wanted to see him. I've been wanting to see him live for 25 years, but it finally happened. His show was a mixture of about 50% Hans Klok illusions and 50% of his friends from the circus around the world, like a knife thrower, a balance act, an acrobat, etc. Okay, there we go. The show really gave me more love and appreciation for variety shows. And because this was a variety show, I thought of a question. What do you think is more appealing for audiences? A full magic show or a variety show? I don't know. Like, I went to see a variety show on Friday and Saturday. I went with Thomas Maloney and his daughter Madison, who's learning illusions, and me and Rylan. We went to a variety show. Put on in Ilkley and Leeds, and there were a bunch of different acts. Now there was some. The compere was a singer. He did a magic trick, but he was really there to compare, and he was a singer. And you had a dance act doing a couple of routines. You had another singer, a 12-year-old girl who was a singer, very, very powerful voice. And then obviously you had a bunch of different magic acts, but they're all very eclectic. You had John Kimmo there who was doing magic, but he was also a ventriloquist. You had some comedy magic like Steve Gore and Kay Dyson. And then you had Matrix, Matrix, big illusion act as well, there were other acts, but the point is there was a lot of variety, and I really enjoyed that, and I think the audience did as well, because obviously You're not seeing the same thing over and over again. Now, a good magic act will vary things up. So, for example, recently I saw Matrix do their full Matrix show, which is like 2 45 minutes, and it's just Matrix. But it's not just illusion after illusion after illusion. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. So they've got big illusions, they've got smaller pieces, they've got audience pieces where audiences are coming up to the front. They've got kind of more serious mentalism style stuff. So a magic act done right and structured correctly can be just as engaging and interesting as a variety show. But having said that, I do think that a variety show works really well as well, especially as they really got the opener and the closer good with this show. So the first big act after the dance act that went on was it was John Kimmo, who's just so brilliant, and the last act was Matrix, who are just awesome as well. And so everything in between was fun. I think both work. I just love magic, so I'll watch anything. But I think your average lay people, I think maybe a variety act is the thing that they would probably prefer to watch, a variety show. Okay, we got another question from Andy Putt, who says, oh, by the way, he said, a fun thing happened after the Hans Klock show. Hans came out and signed some stuff and did pictures with people. I asked him to sign a card, so I gave him a red bicycle card and Sharpie. The first question Hans saw when he saw the two items is, do you do magic? Fun to see how two items from two specific brands are so relatable for other people in our community. Yeah, that's very funny. So you got one more question. Wrestling question. Okay, we are halfway through the Cena farewell tour. We had Cody, the champion, Randy, the rival with the most matches with John, R-Truth, also involved last weekend, and now is CM Punk, which he had a magical 2011 with the highlight of their Money in the Bank match where CM Punk took the title from the company. Who do you think are left on this road, and who do you hope will show up? I hope The Rock will come to, and with a retirement against Kurt Angle. Kurt was the start for John, and Kurt wanted to retire against John at WrestleMania 35. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Okay. Keep doing the good work, Craig. Thanks very much, Andy. Yeah, okay, so we get questions occasionally on this channel about wrestling because everybody knows I'm a huge wrestling fan. I'm very excited about the CM Punk program. I think what they did with R-Truth is really interesting. In terms of who is left, you know what? I don't know is the answer. I have a feeling that maybe Roman Reigns is going to be involved in the farewell tour at some point. But knowing Cena, like I have got to know him over the last 20 odd years, I would imagine he'd want to put somebody over that he would consider to be deserving. So maybe somebody relatively new or somebody that's very up and coming. You know, maybe there's going to be a heel, maybe there's going to be a face turn, and Bron Breakker. I think they've got a lot of potential. He's got a lot of potential. I think to see a lot of things in him. Outside of that, I could see a big return coming. I wouldn't be surprised, depending on where the legal situation is, I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Lesnar showed up. That would not surprise me at all. And, you know, you have Brock Lesnar part of the program. I also wouldn't be surprised to see Cody get the belt back at the end of the year. But I do think that there's going to be something. I don't think Cena will retire as a heel. Something's going to have to happen in order for him to turn face. And if you look at the run that he's had up until this point, a lot of this run has been about people trying to bring him back from the dark side. And the new stuff with Truth, that was very, very, very obviously, you know, like, hey, he's not himself, you know, we need to beat it out of him. So he's going to turn face, in which case maybe he'll face a monster heel. So maybe something will happen and he'll end up having to face a heel. And I don't know. What's interesting about this is that WWE are really keeping me guessing with this. I can't predict anything about what's happening with the program at the moment, which is really very, very good. Okay, so we've got one last question from Adrian Suter, and he says, it's not a question, but a comment on positivity. I really appreciate the positive approach you take on Magic TV, and I want to underline that. With all of the negativity in the Magic community, a huge amount of positivity is often overlooked. I'm a hobbyist who only performs for friends, but I've been in contact with some well-known magicians over the course of the years, and they were all very friendly and helpful and took time to answer my questions. Apart from you, this includes people like Eric Tate, Luca Volpe, Dan Harlan, Axel Hecklau, Roberto Giobbi, and most recently Mark Obi. I mean, he is only the reigning world champion answering questions from a hobbyist. You won't easily find this outside of Magic. And this helpfulness seems to be a tradition in Magic. Joshua J mentions top magicians like Tommy Wonder and Juan Tamariz, who were and are extremely generous towards their fellow magicians. And he himself must be counted amongst them too. A big thank you to you, Craig, that you too uphold this tradition of helpfulness. Yeah, you know, that's why Magic TV was created. You know, I said this over and over again. I set this channel up in lockdown, partially because of boredom, partially because I wanted to do something fun with my son, but partially because I wanted to give back to the community. And I'll be honest with you, Magic TV was only meant to exist for as long as lockdown existed. It was meant to be binned, and a lot of people set up online stuff over lockdown, and the second that lockdown finished, they stopped with all of the online stuff. And I just kept it going. I kept it going because people kept telling me that they found it valuable. I lectured yesterday at Manchester Circle of Magicians, and so many, I'm filming this on the Tuesday, obviously, so I went there on a Monday, and so many people came up to me and said, look, I just want to thank you. I just want to shake your hand. I had it at Darlington as well on Sunday. A gentleman came over to me and shook my hand and said, you know what, I've had mental health issues, and watching your videos has really made a big difference. And I get videos and text messages and phone calls like that all the time. And that is why I do this channel. And that's why I stepped away for a bit as well with all the atomic deck stuff, because the only to be clear, it's very hard to do this. You know, I mean, I've been sitting in this office now. It's coming up on midday. I've been sitting here since 9 o'clock, making videos for the week. This is like my 4th video, and I've got work to do. I've got things that I have to do. And I've still got about another 2 hours of this to do before I actually start on my own work. And it's hard. It's hard to be able to do all of this and keep the positivity going and keep the effort going. And I do it because it's something that people enjoy. And when I left the community, it's because with all of the atomic deck fallout, I didn't get that. I couldn't understand that. I was like, look, I'm only trying to help. I don't get why people are being so personal. I don't get why people are being so negative, but maybe it's time for me to step back. Because if I'm that much of a villain, you know, the thing that really hit the icing on the cake, or the moment that I made the decision, was when I saw that video of that guy in the mask calling me out and saying that I was a liar and that I was evil and whatever the case may be. And I tried to laugh it off, and then there were a big collection of people that were like, oh, it's Craig behind the mask, he's doing it to get sympathy for himself. And I'm like, if people really think I'm like that, then perhaps it's time to hang it up. Because I do this for fun. I do this YouTube videos for fun. Despite people think, oh, Craig's trying to take out the Magic company. Despite people saying, I'm gonna destroy Magic, and I'm gonna take down Magic Dream, and I'm gonna take down Craig Petty, and Craig's the head of the Magic Mafia, and Craig is the Matrix, and people that just really spend too much time drinking Andrew Tate's Kool-Aid, and that are, let's be honest, mentally ill. People that will put YouTube videos out saying that they have taken legal action against me, which is complete and total fucking bullshit, and just completely just lies. Like, you know, just blatantly sitting there to a camera and lying to people. Oh, I've got legal problems with Craig Petty. And then he goes and puts it on the internet, and he goes and tells people that he's got legal problems. And he goes and tells Murphys, who I work with, that he's got legal problems, when in actual fact, that's complete bullshit. And if it was true, he would prove it. It's very easy to prove. Show me a legal letter. Show me something that's happened. Tell me the time the police have come round my house. Tell me. It's completely fabricated lies. And why people will trust somebody like that when he will make up a lie like that to make somebody look worse than they actually are. You know, stuff like this happens all of the time. And, you know, I take it with a pinch of salt. And it got to the point where, you know, I had to take a step back. I was like, well, you know what? If all of these people think I'm that type of person, when in actual fact, all I'm trying to do is just put stuff out and help, maybe it's time to call it a day. Because I don't need this. I don't need to make YouTube videos. I don't need to create magic. It's not like I'm creating magic as, you know, a way of making a fortune or anything like that. That's not the case. In fact, if anything, it's taking away from the time I should be spending in there booking gigs in for my company. So that's why I took a step back, and I missed it. I didn't miss the crap that I was getting for the Atomic deck, but what I did miss is I missed doing these videos for people and knowing that I'd made an impact on people that watch them. And that's why I continue to do this. And the day that Magic TV is over, and one day it is going to be over. One day it is going to be over. I don't know when that is. I don't know when that will happen. I don't know when the expiry date is. Nobody ever knows. Could be a day, could be a month, could be a year, could be a decade. I don't know. You never know what happens in somebody's life. You know, something might happen, which means that I have to shut down Magic TV. It could be that, you know, like, I don't know, that if Ryland, for example, got put into a position where he was on tour every single day and he had an amazing opportunity and it involved me having to be with him to make sure that that opportunity happened, that would be my priority. My family are my priority. As much as I love making these videos and as much as I love chatting to people here, and I know that I'm helping people, and I know that there's people that have become pros, that are winning competitions, that are going out and doing whatever it is that they're doing it because of these videos, which is great. Despite all of that, you know, my family comes first. So I appreciate the kind words, I really do. And, you know, I'm always going to have negativity. I'm always going to have haters. And every 2 or 3 times a year, it blows up a little bit more. But, you know, I just deal with that when it happens. And right now, I'm in a really good place. And I appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. I do have one last question. I missed a final question. That was meant to be the last question. I've got one more. I missed a question by my friend Andrea Standard, who says, "Hi, Craig, how you doing? I'm good." It's me again with a question and a plea for advice. In a couple of days, I will have a follow-up occurrence of a 30-minute time slot, which is meant to be the second part of a potential show. I will hold it at the same location where my first public show took place. And here comes my set list, which I'd like you to comment on. I plan to enter the stage as a third magician during that night, and I plan to enter with Dan Harlan's version of a matchstick vanish using a thumb tip. I've seen Dan do that. That's a great opening. I mean, obviously, it depends on the audience size. I don't know what the audience size is, but for, you know, you don't want to do that to 1,000 people unless you've got projection. But, you know, for the size audience, I think it will be. If it's anything like that video that you sent me when you did your first performance that I critiqued you on, then, yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. And it's great. It's quick. It's visual. It's fun. It's engaging. It's great. Next up, I do my story-based fantasy role-playing history illusionist-based presentation of the Hopping Halves Quiver. Yeah, I remember you showing me that as well. It's like a Hopping Halves style routine, but they go back into the quiver and it's all story-based. And that's great. You know, I'm not a storyteller, as you know, so I don't really tell stories, but I've heard you tell that story, and I think it's great. I think it's really good. I think I told you at the time, I think that the presentation fits you and works really well. I think it's really important to put that after you've done something visual to get their attention. So I think the thumb tip thing to go into that works really well. Right, so number 3, I'm not sure if I can fit in the matchumentary style cups and balls routine hereafter. Hook line will be trickery, where illusionists often add to their repertoire. Okay, I've not seen that at all, but that sounds interesting. I do like the hook line. You know, people are obviously drawn in by that sort of hook line, so I think that would work really well. Number 4, Neatless, John Archer's Bank Night, expanding on the trickery and the mental influence techniques such as the wizard could have. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about trickery and you're talking about deception, a great way to showcase that is to do a bank night, and Blank Night is one of the best that there is. My question is, could you change Blank Night to make it adaptable to that presentation. So rather than using words like, yours, mine, whatever it is that John puts on the envelopes, could you put stuff like words that magicians might, words that describe techniques that magicians use to do the magic that they do? You've just pulled the curtain back a little bit and you've talked about the trickery that magicians use, and could you use words like misdirection, I don't know, trickery, palming, things like that? You can come up with the idea, so that you've gone and you've done this whole presentation of trickery and you've pulled the curtain back on that side of things, and you go, well, let me see if I can, if I really am that good at tricking you and I am really good at influencing you, maybe I can take this to the next level. I've got 5 envelopes and each one of them has a word that's associated with magicians when they deceive people: deception, misdirection, whatever the case may be. I think that would be an interesting way to do Blank Night that would tie it into the whole routine. Number 5, now I play a curveball towards Cue the Magic, Holiday Special Edition. Oh, so that's the version I did on the Penguin Holiday Special with the invisible deck, right? The motivation could be to distract the audience away from the real magician towards an unsuspecting peasant. Well, I love that routine. You know how much I love that routine. That would work really well. You'd have to, what I would do is I would get the person who won at Bank Night. I would get that person, well, you win at Bank Night, don't you? You're the one that wins the money. But the last person that you play against as kind of a commiseration prize, I'd say, look, I'm going to get you to come up on stage and you can be the star of the show for this next piece. I'm going to teach you how to actually fool a room full of people and entertain them all at the same time. And that'd be a nice kind of lead into that as well. Finale of my set is a book test with a word prediction using my inversion board, a freely chosen book out of a selection of 3 books. Any page chosen, they tell me the page, and I remember then they remember the first word. The thought of word is written on a chalkboard, which was on stage the whole time. To emphasize the illusionist's hook, I might have this presented as an illusion, as after some time the word has vanished from the board. That's interesting, combining a book test with the vanish of a word. I've never seen that before. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't just vanish the word. I would have it appear somewhere else. I don't know the method behind what you're doing here, but could you, for example, have the word on the chalkboard, you vanish the word, and then it appears drawn in Sharpie up your arm. So at the end, you pull your sleeve up and the word is there, or something like that. I don't like it. It's personal preference, but I don't like it when you make something disappear in front of an audience and you don't bring it back. So that's what I'd say with that. And then you've got, as a fill-in, I can slot in the Atomic deck, Schrodinger's version, as a second to last effect. That's 26 minutes plus 5 minutes optional. What do I think? I would definitely put Atomic deck in there because that's a great way to get everybody involved. And it's a great way to, get every single person involved in the performance. So I'd definitely do Atomic deck, but then again, I am biased, as you know. I think that's a great set. It's very different to your first set because the first set there was a lot of comedy, and I'm sure there's going to be comedy here, but there's I think there's more of a mentalism slant with this. It's more of a story-driven narrative to things like Destination, Mistake, and all the coin stuff you were doing in the first set. So I think it works really well. What I'd like you to do is tell me how it goes, because I think you'll nail it. So there you go, guys. That's another video in the bag, another Q&A in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me here on Magic TV. Don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, you just got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Now, I'm going to be back again with another video later on today. We've got a review show special. Yesterday, we had a great Talk Magic interview up with Peter and Harry Nardi, talking about the Alakazam Magic Convention. Check that out. It was a very honest story about the growth of Alakazam. It was a really great interview. And outside of that, if you haven't already joined the Netrix, please do so. It's my online streaming platform for magicians. It's called thenetrix.com. If you like my advice on the Q&A, you'll love what I've got in the Netrix. Outside of that, I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.